Dante's Boxing Nation, Dante's Cooking Nation. We are out here. Where are we at?
We're out here in Bangkok.
There you go. She's from Ireland. Matter of fact, introduce yourself to the world.
My name's Hannah and I'm from Ireland and I'm the biggest fan in the world.
You hear that?
Yeah.
Biggest fan?
And I'm from Ireland. Sorry.
No, I can edit it. Don't worry about it. All the way in Bangkok, Thailand, y'all.
No,
I'm gonna get
in
it right.
Ireland as well.
In Ireland, you hear that? DBN is international,
My
guys.
churros are ready now.
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? So this is some really, really wild news right here. David Benavidez's promoter, Samson, he did an interview on The Boxing Voice and revealed that PBC has also offered Canelo Alvarez a David Benavidez fight as well. And David Benavidez, in his offer, David was willing to take a lot less money than Caleb Plant got, which was the $10 million. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and play the clip of what he said exactly. But what Samson said after this clip was extremely telling. Let's go ahead and play this clip.
And you still can't get that fight. You still haven't received an offer, though,
What do you mean?
for Canelo.
No, PBC is sending an offer,
For Benavidez.
and Benavidez agreed to take much less.
For Canelo.
Even Canelo for the challenge. That is unheard, and for me, I believe this to prove to everyone that doesn't come for a payday, that doesn't need it, because he's making very good money every time he fights.
Now, but you're sure that Benavidez knew PBC made an offer to Canelo for a possible fight with himself?
I informed to Jose Benavidez Sr.
Okay.
Okay, so you guys heard right there, Samson, David Benavidez's promoter. He said David Benavidez wants to prove that he's not just coming for a payday. It's not about trying to get a big payday because David is already making good money. He's willing to take a lot less to make the Canelo Alvarez fight. But then what Samson says after that, when he was asked about the Demetrius Andrade fight, that's when he made a very interesting revelation. Samson was asked if that fight can be made, with Demetrius Andrade fighting for DAZN and Benavidez fighting for PBC. Samson, he replied, he said it can definitely be made, but he said for that fight, we're going to need a lot of money. And then the Boxing Voice reminded him that Jamal Charlo was offered $7 million to fight Demetrius Andrade. And Samson, David Benavidez's promoter, he said we're going to need more money than that to fight him. And when Benavidez's promoter was asked why, you know what he said? He said because that's not an easy fight. Notice he never said that the Canelo Alvarez fight is not an easy fight. Coincidentally, this is almost the exact same thing that David Benavidez's father, Jose Benavidez, he said about Charlo. Before Charlo had his worst performance against Fernando Montiel, Jose Benavidez, what did he say? He came out and he said, the Canelo fight will be easy. The Jamal Charlo fight, that will be the most difficult fight. And Benavidez's promoter, Samson, he acknowledged that he was contradicting himself from when he had just said a minute ago, it's not about the money. David Benavidez, he already is making a lot of money. So he's willing to take a pay cut to fight Canelo Alvarez. He's willing to take less money, make less money to fight Canelo Alvarez. Just to turn around and say, but when it comes to Demetrius Andrade, we're going to need more. Not just more, but a whole lot more. More than $7 million. Like I told you guys, he originally said because it's not an easy fight. But then later on, he started to say, oh, it's because Demetrius Andrade, he doesn't really sell, etc., etc. So therefore, we want more money, which really makes no sense if he doesn't sell. Why would you want more money? That's like demanding over $7 million because Ronald Ellis doesn't sell or Kyron Davis doesn't sell. David Benavidez's last two opponents. But before I go even further, let me go ahead and just play this clip.
But you think it's possible, or obviously with Benavidez fighting for Showtime and PBC, a fight with Andrade right now is not in the cards?
Well, let me put this way. I am an exclusive promoter of Benavidez. I will tell you the fight, it could happen. But in this case, the money needs to be right. But it could happen.
So it's not a case of you, because I know you've said on this show in the past that, you know, you have a relationship with Al Heyman, you know, like Javier Fortuna was a PBC guy, but you thought that Javier would be able to go to DAZN. So are you saying that if you have the right conversations, David Benavidez can fight on DAZN, or does the Andrade fight have to happen on Showtime or PBC?
It can be either way, but the money need to be superior, much more than to fight Canelo.
It has to be more than fighting Canelo.
That's correct.
Okay, so there was a rumored offer from Eddie Hearn to Jamal Charlo to face Andrade once upon a time for an unified fight at $7 million. Does that sound right to you?
It need to be much more than that.
More than $7 million to fight Andrade?
Yes, because it's not an easy fight. He's a great fighter. That whoever he wants to put that fight, that most likely is not so attractive. That one needs to be for the money.
But damn, more than $7 million.
To talk about it.
Wouldn't that be a career high payday for David? Has he ever been paid $7 million?
Never.
So are you pricing yourself out in the eyes of the media and Eddie Hearn?
No, because this is what he deserves when he fights a guy that doesn't bring.
First of all, those were great questions by Nestor from the Boxing Voice. This was a real long interview and there was a whole lot of talking, so you guys can go over there and watch the entire interview. But going back to what Benavidez's promoter just said. Now, before I completely unpack this, everything that Samson just said, and explain why it is extremely telling, I do need to let you guys know, because I didn't play this part, but before Samson started talking about this, he did admit that he was unaware of the conversations that David Benavidez was having, with him doing other interviews and telling the media that he wants the Andrade fight right after the David Lemieux fight. So clearly the promoter and David, they're not on the same page right now. But still, with that being said, you guys have heard me say many times on my channel before that when Canelo Alvarez called Demetrius Andrade a horrible fighter, the translation was the complete contrary. What he was really saying is this man is far too skilled, he's far too dangerous, and I want zero smoke with him. And as you just heard right now, David Benavidez's own promoter said we need a whole lot of money, more than $7 million to fight Demetrius Andrade. Why? Once again, because it's not an easy fight. He's a great fighter. You can lock away the truth, throw away the key, and that truth is always going to find a way to break free. Samson just revealed the reason why Canelo Alvarez never took the fight. And it's crazy because after listening to Samson say that, so many other fights come to mind where you have an idea this is the same way these fighters are thinking. I think about Kambosos versus Devin Haney. I just made a video just the other day, and I was saying in that video, Kambosos is acting like it's going to be the end of the world if he loses to Devin Haney. There will still be life if you do lose to him. So even though Kambosos feels the same way that Samson feels, which is it's not an easy fight to win, you're going to get the type of money that you're asking for. You're going to get way more money than you've ever made in your career, and life will go on, win, lose, or draw. Now back to Canelo Alvarez and what David Benavidez's promoter just said. Guys, this is the reason why Canelo Alvarez is not pound for pound the best fighter in the world. Because first of all, if he was the best fighter in the world, he would not be looked at as the easiest option when it comes to Jermall Charlo or Demetrius Andrade. Have you guys ever heard a promoter say that so-and-so is a far more difficult fight than fighting Terrence Crawford? Or so-and-so is a far more difficult fight than fighting Floyd Mayweather, Roy Jones, or whoever was considered pound for pound the best fighter at that time? We've never heard this before. We only hear it when it comes to Canelo. And that is because of the many flaws we see in not one of his fights, but all of his fights. You know, when it comes to Canelo, it's not like he just had one bad performance and all the other performances he looked completely unbeatable. Canelo Alvarez looks flawed in the majority of his fights. He looked extremely vulnerable in the Caleb Plant fight, in the Billy Joe Saunders fight, in the Kovalev fight. And we're only talking about opponents that were supposed to, be real easy opponents. I'm not even going to talk about the Laras, the Mayweathers, and the Golovkins. Even the cherry-picked opponents expose Canelo Alvarez. Not only does Canelo Alvarez have problems with athletic, slick boxers, but he has a lot of problems with fighters that just have a really good jab. A combination of a good jab and angles, foot movement, just slightly moving out of the way of the punches. And let me make this point as well. When it comes to Charlo, Andrade, or Benavidez, no one is calling any of those fighters pound for pound the best fighter in the world. So the standards are definitely set higher for Canelo Alvarez. For you people that put Canelo Alvarez on that pedestal, listen, when it comes to David Morrell, even David Morrell has said that he felt Canelo would be the easiest out of the most dangerous fighters at 168. So if you listen to everyone, you listen to Jose Benavidez saying that Charlo is more difficult than a Canelo fight. A Canelo fight would be easy compared to a Charlo fight. Now you hear David Benavidez's promoter saying that Andrade, we need more money for that fight because it's not an easy fight. If you are to listen to all of these fighters, David Morrell, David Benavidez, Charlo, Andrade, they're looking at Canelo Alvarez as if he's somewhat the Ryan Garcia of the Fantastic Four, if there was a Fantastic Four at 168. And before you Canelo Alvarez fans start crying all over your keyboards, the comparison has nothing to do with who's the most skilled, accomplishments, or resumes. It is just a simple fact that the majority of the elite fighters at 168, they see Canelo Alvarez as the weakest link, the most flawed fighter. Just like the top lightweights, they see Ryan Garcia as the weakest link, the most flawed fighter there. Now, there's no doubt about it, Canelo Alvarez is a very good fighter. But this is the reason why he needs to fight all of these different styles of opponents to prove that he's the best out of all of them. With that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this video up. That's all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one. All right, now check this out, guys. If you're looking to repair eczema scars, burns and bruises, dark spots and blemishes, then this right here is the perfect product for you guys. It's called LO Key Face and Body Oil. Athletes and top-ranking boxers, they're also using it after training to reduce swelling, inflammation, and to ease the pain. So get yours today. Go to LODkey.com, like them on Facebook, and follow them on Instagram.